Get on the phone, I'm going to sound check it. You check. Hey, John. Hey, Todd. Okay. All right, I'm muting you back. Okay, mute me out. Hey, Lou, sound check.
Yep, I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, good job. See you in a couple seconds.
Thank you.
Wade? Howdy doody. Okay, sound loud and clear. I'm going to talk a little bit, and then John's going to talk.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, everyone. It's 9 o'clock. We're going to start the Authority webinar. First of all, I just want to say thank you for everyone that came out tonight to log in and be able to talk to us and with us and interact with us here at Coaching for Life. It's really cool, and we're really excited about having everyone on tonight. Hope it's insightful, and we'll be able to help you guys out, and you can help us out. The Coaching for Life team would like to thank everyone for taking the time to join us. First, I need to talk a couple things about general housekeeping. The general housekeeping things are, first, this is being broadcasted through your computer speakers. So everyone should make sure their speakers are turned up, hooked up, and turned on, and make sure the volume's up. most everything is working on our end, so if the volume is low, you just have to make sure your speakers on your computer are turned up. Second thing I'll talk to you tonight that you might have seen in the little commercial thing there was chat versus Q&A. Tonight, if there's any problems, I want you to use the chat box. If we have any questions that we would like to ask the presenters, Wade, Lou, or John, please use the question and answer, which on the bottom of your right-hand side of your toolbar, you'll see a little question mark. Click that button and you'll pop up a box, type in your question and send it in. And throughout the presentation, we will ask questions to Lou and Wade if your question pertains to the topic. If not, we will hold those to the end for the question and answer. The other thing that we want to make sure we're doing is if you can't see your screen in full screen or it's cut off, on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a little upside-down triangle in a box. Click that, you'll see the word view, go up and push fit in viewer, and that I sync everybody often, but if you happen to get out of it and are not able to see the full picture, make sure you do that in your directions. The other thing, last thing I'll talk about is tonight if we send out a poll or we chat questions or ask questions to the audience, on the bottom right-hand side on that same toolbar, you will see one of those icons will light up with orange behind it. If you see orange, just kind of pay attention to those 4 little icons at the bottom, and you just click on the icon, and you'll be able to see the question that was asked. So those are some of the housekeeping things that need to be covered. So if you have any questions, chat in. If you have a problem, chat in. But it looks like we're loud and clear with everybody tonight. I'm going to turn it over to Coach Cal, and he's going to introduce Wade and Lou. And so go ahead, Coach.
First of all, I want to welcome everybody again tonight. We have got coaches, parents, business leaders, teachers, and administrators from all across the country. Just a few of the places are Ohio, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, New York, Texas, New Jersey, and Florida. It's really spreading. If you were on last week for the Capture the Heart presentation, you're really going to like this one. Tonight's topic is authority. Tonight's presenters are Wade Salem and Lou Sterrett. Wade, I've known Wade for about 2 years, and he has really changed my way of coaching and parenting for that matter. He comes from a coaching family. He's worked with hundreds of coaches and teams. He is a dynamic speaker and leader, and the one thing that Wade is he's dedicated to helping coaches coach the complete player. It's a pleasure knowing him. Lou, I got to know Lou last year and have seen him work with horses. He's a master trainer, and what he does with horses, there's a direct correlation with what coaches are doing with players. So it's going to be a fantastic webinar this evening. Sit back, get your popcorn, and get ready to go and enjoy. And I'm going to turn it over to Coach Lou and Coach Wade. Enjoy the webinar.
Tonight. Hello. Testing. This is Wade. Great to be with you tonight. Lou, how are you doing?
Doing good. Glad to be here tonight.
Well, good. We look forward to being with you guys tonight and just for about the next half hour, just really challenge all of us. What is authority and how that will help our life, and really, it's the foundation to be an effective leader. And I think when you first think about authority, especially in today's day and age, it almost has a rebellion comes out. People stand up against it. The first thing we think is, we're against that. And Lou, I mean, that's just kind of what we kind of have inundated in our culture today. Instead of a respect for authority, there's almost a pushback from it seems like.
Oh, absolutely. We think that we'll have more freedom or more fulfillment doing our own thing, but it's also because there's been a distortion of how authority has been used.
Yeah, that's what we want to look at tonight is how can we, as parents, as coaches and leaders, be better in our position of authority, and why, really what are we doing? So we're going to jump right into this. The first thing we need to do is just define authority. When you look at the authority, first in authority, it's the right right to rule, the power to act, decide, command, judge. And there are people in positions of authority, whether it's a teacher, a police officer, a parent, obviously, a coach. And we are given this right to rule, this power to act, to make decisions, to command our sphere of influence, to judge what is going on around us. And that's the definition of authority. And so people in this position, this is what we are supposed to do. And we want to look tonight is what are we doing with this incredible, I would call it, one, an honor, and two, a responsibility. So, I mean, if I'm a coach of a team, parent of my kids, you know, I have this incredible position that I am responsible to do these things and do them very well. Because if I don't, if I, hand this off to someone else to do, things start not, to not work as well. So, Lou, when you think about this definition of authority, what comes to mind to you?
You know, when we are responsible to train up a child or to train a team or train a horse, we obviously need to study what are the needs of that recipient. And then our goal is to equip them so that they are able to respond to life stresses and needs as they go through. So true leadership is the responsibility to help others be able to respond or become response-able. It's a very important thing for us to understand. And the more we equip them to do that, whether it's make wise choices, discern healthy relationships, or take responsible actions, the more satisfaction we have from our own positions.
So it's extremely important to realize that we're in this position to really empower others instead of just gain power for myself. And as we look at, being in a position of authority, two goals we want to talk about is obviously we're here, it's to build others up, not to tear them down. Just in sports so much we can see, and even in our own home. As parenting, we can end up seeing the negative all the time and end up tearing down or just, destroying others, degrading others, shaming. Seems like in sports it's so easy to sometimes see the negative all the time that pretty soon not building up my team and tearing them down. And the very thing I want to coach and get performance and excellence, but in my position, all I'm doing is pointing things out and bringing people down, not lifting them up. And one of the things we really challenge people is, am I an elevator? When people come around, am I able to elevate them and pick them up and really build up the people around me? And Lou, what's so important about being an authority and always building up? Because I thought what the point you just made is really important. Do we even see the needs of those around us?
Wade, I just came in from a seminar I just was doing outside with a group of students, and we were talking about how we build self-control. And one is we often shame people into behaving the way we want them to behave. And the real key was to bring, I was using horses obviously, not to jerk the horse around, but to empower the horse to be under the authority of the trainer where there was a harmony coming out of that. And we had a couple horses out there, and one was doing very poorly because his relationship with the trainer was minimal, and the trainer on his back was unable to equip that horse to excel. The other horse in comparison had an intimate relationship with the trainer, and the trainer had a relationship with the horse, so it just moved every place he wanted to go. Then what I did, since it was my horse, I took my 5-year-old grandson out of the audience and I put him on that stallion, and the horse perfectly obeyed without anybody else but the 5-year-old, which says that the horse was equipped through wise and constructive authority to serve another. We all got a blessing from that.
Well, I mean, even just looking at that, how do we take our team and when the coach leaves the gym or the field, do my captains and leaders continue on the culture and environment we're trying to, build others up, or does chaos come out? The coach leaves the room and all of a sudden practice goes to who knows where land. And a teacher leaves the classroom and all of a sudden, the wheels fall off. But are we building up those around us that when we do, we're transferring power, we're empowering those around us? And another key point here is, being an authority is not about privileges. But it's about dealing with crisis and service, and it's cannot share blame. But real quickly about position position is a great starting point in leadership, because you either have just become the coach, or it's your teaching job, or I am a parent. And that is my position, but it's not a place to stay in leadership. If that's the only authority or power you have as one in authority because of just your position, that's not good enough today. That doesn't work to really capture the heart of the people around you. I mean, I could be, simply in a position, and you've heard for coaches a lot of times. I remember one workshop we did in the coach that, for years I used to just say it's my way or the highway. But I never really connected with the needs and heart of my players. I just said, this is the way it is. I never listened. I never paid attention to those around me. And I wasn't leading them through the seasons of crisis and all the other stuff that comes up. I was just using players for myself in my season. So
the less we understand and define the needs of the heart and the needs of the inner person, the more we will try to require or mandate their behavior.
Well, it's so important for us to realize that our position of authority is really to build others up. And it's not about privileges. It's not about, my new job. Look, I moved up in the ranks, which is great. But it's to do what? And that's what we want to get to is the bottom line tonight, is what are we really after? I'm trying to get my slide to move. Sorry, guys. Abuse of authority. Now, we could talk about abuse of authority. I think we all know we could talk about, shaming others, degrading, wounding the heart, physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse that can happen in the workplace, at homes, or on the field or court. But here's probably the root of it all, that when I get to this one, it really nails me, is that our reactions lead to missed opportunity. And as a leader, as a coach, when I'm coaching, am I getting so frustrated by the game or a situation that I can miss the opportunity to train and develop character in those that have been entrusted to me? And really, Lou, when I look at this of the ultimate abuse of authority, this is really the bottom line of it. Because the other stuff comes because I am frustrated and I'm angry. I need to vent because things aren't going well, or I'm in a power trip myself. But the real abuse of authority, if we're really going to capture the heart of our people, is missing those opportunities, isn't it?
Well, when we look at physical or verbal abuse, that kind of thing, we know it's simply a child in an adult body who's reacting like a child and using desperate measures. Someone once said that vile words were the vain attempt of a feeble mind to express itself forcibly, and I love that. And the less we have ourselves in alignment with where our authority comes from and what gives a person authority, the more we will try to use vain measures to try to change others. But the real key, like you said, Wade, is the issue that we shouldn't even be worried about whether we're physically manipulating people, but whether we have prepared ourselves with enough vision and enough character and enough homework that we are alert and resourceful to give people a clear direction of what they should be doing and then how to do it, and then recognizing them when they do it. And I'm convicted all the time that while I may be on this road, my batting average may be very low because there's still tremendous amount of opportunities I miss that I look back and I think, I wish I'd spoken to that person, or I wish I'd encouraged them, or I wish I'd invested them, or I wish I'd been more articulate about what I did want them to do. Everybody reacts to what they don't want them to do. Leadership is defined by telling them what they need to do.
It happens every day in our practices, in our games, is I will react to a situation in a game and, or am I capturing teachable moments? Am I coaching there to find the teachable moments, or am I coaching there for the scoreboard, for just the performance, just the skills, just the outward body or physical part of the game, or just the test score, or just the, the production we need, or the paycheck we need to give out? Or am I really there to develop the people around me? And, the abuse of our position of authority is when it's all said and done and our teams are done, the scoreboard's done, the whistle blows, the game's over. Are we really investing in those around us what they need to be successful in life. You know, so that's what we've called it, coaching for life, that I'm coaching for life, not coaching for a game, not coaching just for a seat. You know, we're not just, you know, in class. We're a test school. We're in class to develop learners, lifelong learners. And may we not miss those opportunities. So when it comes down to it now, back to us as those who are in position of authority, because I love this. You know, you've mentioned this before, but, you know, what's the difference between demand and command respect?
You know, I think maybe a good way to put us in a neutral perspective is when we come on to a crisis or an emergency situation. It's interesting how we teach our medical people and our emergency people that the first thing they must do is to get perspective or secure the perimeter. You know, the moment somebody starts reacting to an emergency, screaming or yelling or jumping in and trying to help the victim, they often add to the problem. Why? Because they don't have the perspective and address the sincere need and manage well the resources.
It's like at the end of games, as coaches, are we extremely poised and calm, or are we freaking out just as much as the kids are? Or the kids even calmer than us as the coach, because, you know, so many times we tell coaches your players will draw strength from the character of the coach, and for the last 3 minutes of the game, and when things maybe are unraveling or falling apart, can they look over and see you and everything's intact? And, you know, I even put a little note for myself in games. I'm coaching right now. It's on a little sheet of paper that just says poise, you know, to maintain calm myself, because kids always are looking over to the bench. And if they can see me in control, it's so much easier for them in the midst of it to be in control. So, Lou, what's the difference between someone who comes into a practice or a position of authority and they're demanding respect versus commanding?
Well, I think the person who demands already comes in from an insecure perspective. And they have something to prove. And so they may be seen as loud, vile. They may be seen as oppressive or demeaning. They will certainly use their position of authority to require or mandate people to obey them. A person who commands understands the needs and has, that doesn't mean they're not emotionally connected, they can't relate to people's pain or whatever, but they're not emotionally controlled. So they take a very highly volatile situation or a very raw resource, and they begin to assess what the need is and what the goal is, what the proper steps are, and then how to help them get from step A to step C, and they encourage them in the process. And one leads with the heart and mind and knowing the internal needs as well as the outside behaviors, and the other just simply conforms to the outside.
Well, we'll see that too, as we talked about this 2 weeks ago about capturing the heart as a coach. Things that I need to do to earn that so that I can come into a practice and command respect. And we talked about, as a coach, number one, it's my effort. I mean, how hard I work. Kids know if we're lazy. Kids know if we're just getting by and winging it. But if you're putting forth effort, and the second one was faithfulness and consistency. If over time I'm consistent and faithful to be there and coach hard and to work my tail off, it starts to, you know, earn that respect. And the last one was it just takes time. And I think over time, you might be a first-year coach or taking on a position or a younger coach or a new job. And obviously we want that respect. We all long for that. And it's one thing to come in and demand it right away, but it's another thing to earn it and let that also your presence, it just starts to build up. And that's what
one of the harsh realities here, Wade, is that there are many times that when things aren't going well, we're tempted to lose heart ourselves. And the question that determines whether we demand or command is whether we believe in them more than they believe in themselves. And that really emits a tremendously different response.
So here's the question. And this, I think, is just where the rubber meets the road, is whether it's my classroom, my players, my team, my company, my employees. You know, as a person in authority, you know, are you there for them or are they there for you? Are the kids there that I'm coaching, are they there for me to run my game plan and show how much I know of the game and how much I love the game and I just love coaching and I use them to fulfill myself? Do I have kids in my classroom where, you know, I just you know, I teach. I love teaching. I put stuff on the board. I do that, and they're there for me to do my thing. Or am I really committed as a person in authority to come into their world and look in the inside stuff and say, I'm really here for you? And, I mean, I think this is the dividing line, Lou, for people in authority to ask that question and really just gut check where are we at.
Well, it's like a bank account. Certainly you don't have money so you can use it. You want players so you can win a game. You have helpers and volunteers so you can accomplish a project. But the key that they're always asking in their own heart is whether you value me or I'm simply a resource for your goal. And I think the summation of whether the conclusion they come to is whether you really invest in them. How do you invest in a player who you're drilling hard or a child that you're trying to really get to work harder? One is you invest by giving them clear direction and defined expectations. Secondly, you invest in them by giving them very consistent boundaries. Third, you give them measures by which they can mark or see their own progress. Fourth, you begin to relate to their needs, and you don't react to their wants and their complaints, but really keep on more focused on their needs than they are, and you report to them the progress, both hard and soft, both behavioral and attitudinal. And when you do that, they say, nobody's ever cared that much about me to really know me and build me and equip me for success.
You know, the thing, though, the struggle is am I looking at the needs of my players? I mean, I go in there with my practice plan, got stuff I'm trying to do to accomplish things so we can execute, and I can get so busy in my, quote, coaching that I'm not even looking at their needs. I'm looking at what I need to get done at practice to prepare for this next game. So how do I keep a focus on that? Lou?
Oh, okay. That's, I thought it was just kind of rhetorical there. Well, it's true. We all get distracted, and we get caught back in the fact in our marriages and our homes. We get distracted. We're basically self-centered, and there are a lot of things to call us back to account. When we lose the attentiveness of our team, when we find more argumentation in our relationship, there are reflections that you're not listening well, or you're not considering others, or you're walking all over them, or your team loses morale, loses passion. And they're indicators that while we may be enthusiastic, we're not really connecting yet. We're not being heard.
But that's something to really be focused on because, there's a kid we're coaching right now who's really struggling mentally with the game. Attention span's not very long and just has done his own thing most of his life. Very tall, very talented, has never needed to do the skills very well because he can get away with it because he's so athletic. And so now we're starting to push him a little bit more on the mental side of the game to pay attention more, to be aware of others instead of just what he does. And it's still, he has so far to go, but I've been able to begin to see the little progressions. And the other day at practice, I called him over and I just said, I'm so proud of you because I'm starting to see you improve in little areas. I said, you have a long ways to go, young man, but you're getting there. And I'm so proud that you're starting to take the right steps. And his eyes lit up. It's like no one has ever told him that before. He comes from a full family home. His home life's not very good. And someone came to me afterwards and said, I don't think anybody has ever said to him in his life that they were proud of him. And you know what? As a coach, my satisfaction level was, I get more satisfaction seeing his eyes light up than that W. I mean, W's are great. And I'm in for that. I'm coach all out for that. But when I really do see the needs of others, it really helps me and fulfills me as a coach even more so. So bottom line, we talk about having a foundation for effective leadership is we really believe that when it comes down to your position of authority, are you someone who can be described as servant leadership, that you're serving others? And if today's leaders, those that are serving others and are others focused, the productivity, the performance of the others, what that brings to that team, that classroom, elevates everything else, that it's not about me, myself, and I. not about me and my position and who I am, but boy, it's really for all these others. And if I can serve them, the very things I think I'm looking for as a coach really start to come out, and then some, even exponentially, because I'm serving others.
This is a fundamental issue in every relationship, whether we're in business success, and obviously we need to lead. What qualifies a servant leader? I think one of the first issues that qualifies him, Wade, is the idea that he has to model what he preaches. And they're going to especially look at that when the leader goes through a particular personal crisis, whether it's off the field or at home or an economic crisis. They're going to watch the leader's reactions to special trials and difficulties. The second thing they're going to do is, do you care enough about me to define your expectations very clearly? When we're vague, we're really putting the responsibility on others. When we are angry, we're really asking others to process the emotions that we can't. We tend to project our responsibility on people through our blame and unclarity. And the third is whether we will follow through and expect it to get done, and make sure that it gets done, and make them succeed in it. And when those three issues are there, it's significantly different. And it works like in a marriage. Obviously, I need to model. If I'm angry because my wife isn't listening to me, then it starts by me listening to begin with. And then the second is that my frustration is that I really want my wife to change, but I'm not really telling her why I'm frustrated. I'm not clarifying the expectation that I have or something. I'm just saying I'm going to be angry with her or my son or kids. But then as a follow-through even in my own life of making sure that we're working it out is an important part of servant leadership at the home.
Yeah. Well, as we continue on here, there's 6 questions that we have for those in authority. And these would be 6 questions I would ask a coach at the beginning of the season. And they'd be the very same questions I'd ask at the end of the season, the beginning of a school year and the end of a school year. These are 6 questions you can ask a parent, a coach, a teacher, a leader in business. And these, I think, are really powerful. First one is their honor. And by the way, these 6 questions, either this fall or next year at the webinar, we're going to do a series, Coaching the Heart series, and breaking down each one of these on a webinar. What is honor and safety, and we're going to go through these. But, as a person in authority, the first one is there honor? Is there worth, value in the name? I mean, does your name ring a bell? If I mention a team's name, I can mention a coach like a Dean Smith, a Tom Osborne. Does it bring a respect? Is there integrity? Is there honor in that name? Go ahead, Luke.
Wait, I would suggest here that these are the 6 issues. I'll go out on a limb here that are the sources of contention between every authority and every subordinate. So when we look at this issue of honor, obviously a parent wants to know that the family name is not going to be mucked up. And the person in authority, that their company name is not going to be misrepresented by how the employees are handling. So this is always an issue of contention between a subordinate and authority.
Is there honor when people look at your schedule as a coach and they see your team's name? Is there honor behind that name? Do your opposing coaches look at that and go, wow, that's a team that plays hard. They play together. They have such class. Man, they bring it every time we play them. I mean, is there honor behind that name, or is it, they cheat over there and they're dishonor? Number 2, is it safe? Obviously, as a coach and as parents, are we keeping our kids safe in every area, physically, equipment-wise, emotionally, and socially? Even in the sports world today, I mean, the horror stories today of hazing that is going on, that coaches are allowing that to happen or not even being aware of what might be happening in the back of a bus after a game. And if I give you my kid for you to coach or to be in your classroom, is he going to be safe? And boy, as a parent, I want that question asked, and I want that one done for sure.
Every parent and every child fight over that issue because the kid says, you don't trust me. And the parent's just like, you're not trustworthy. And so what they need to do is define what would make them trustworthy and whether the one under authority really is recognizing the risks that are involved. And it can be physical risk, it can be relational risk, or it can be conceptual risk. And those are points of contention over, will this event or participation compromise your future welfare?
And is there discernment? I mean, are we teaching right and wrong? Now, I give you my kid on your team, is he going to be taught the right stuff? Are you going to teach him how to cheat? Are you going to teach him how to play with integrity and by the rules and sportsmanship and respect? Are you going to teach him the game? You know, is there relationships? I mean, we're talking connection.
Wait, how many decisions do you think a player makes on the court or field in a given game?
Hundreds.
So if we only teach him to do what we tell him to do, we don't teach him to make good decisions.
Teach him how to be a robot.
Yeah. So the key is not that they do what you tell them to do, is they learn your heart, and they learn to make their own decisions that honor the values that they see you honor in your heart.
So if we look at these 6 questions, honor, safety, is there discernment, is there relationships, and the last 2, is there pursuit of excellence? You know, is there pressure and release to encourage and improve? Is there passion for excellence and getting better? And the last one is there joy. And as an authority, if you can look at your classroom or your team and say, you know what, I'm bringing honor, my team is safe, I'm doing things right, I'm teaching right and wrong, I have great relationships with my players, we're pursuing excellence, you know what, we're having fun. And if those things are being met, I think as someone in authority, that's a very successful team. It's a very successful job of coaching. And this is where the rubber meets the road, is we're in this position of coaching. And these 6 things, and like I said earlier, we'll do a webinar on each one of these probably in the fall. As we go over these, just to break them down even more so we can get the nitty-gritty and, you know, the rubber meet the road on this so we can walk this out in our positions of authority where this is really happening.
Even my horses ask these 6 questions, Wade. They want to know who's in charge, and do I have a reason to be afraid? What decision are you expecting me to make, and how will it affect my relationships either with the herd or with the trainer? And then, what is it that you want when you keep spurring me or driving me? What is it that's going to bring the release? And when they finally get it, there's an enthusiasm that radiates from their performance.
Well, I mean, I just, want to encourage everybody here that you're on this webinar because you're probably in a position of authority, whether it's parenting, coaching, teaching, leading a business. And in the midst of that, may we kind of take an inventory tonight and say, you know what, I need to have a renewed energy and commitment to those who've been entrusted to me, that I'm here to serve, I'm here to build others up, and I'm here, my authority is not for me to get power. My authority is to empower those around me by making great decisions, judging things around me with power and rules that will empower those instead of restrict them and control them. Any last thoughts there, Luke?
Oh, there's a lot of great content there, and if we just get a sentence out of it, it might help us do a better job tomorrow than we did today.
We also want to encourage all of you there here with us on the webinars that we're launching the network. And we've done the last 2 of these webinars for free, but we really want to encourage you. There's hundreds of coaches who are very interested in coming on board and creating a community of coaches that we're literally creating an ongoing coaching course that really never ends. When you sign up, you'll be getting these 3-minute little videos with Lou and myself. They'll be emailed to you once a week. We're going to do 24 webinars twice a month. We'll get together just to break down the nuts and bolts of coaching to encourage us and get down to some more nitty-gritty so we can become better coaches and be more effective in our job. And by becoming a Character Matters team, a business or school, a family, you get the Character Quality Curriculum to give you a tool to go walk this out to really build up those around you. So just want to encourage you as we move forward. We'll be sending us some emails, but we're looking now to get people signed up in the network and move forward with the coaches and teams and schools. We're really excited what we have planned this year to put in place a process to be part of your journey and our journey together as we improve and get better as coaches. Any last thoughts, Lou, before we turn it back over to Todd and Ken?
Great evening, and a very challenging subject, but remember, we all are in leadership. do well with it or not, because somebody is always watching.
Yeah, Ken Sturzman is going to come on here in a second here, and then Lou and I will be back here to take your questions, and any questions you have, we can review some stuff from the presentation or the webinar, and we'll be back in just a minute. So I'll be sending it back to you, Todd, to get Ken on board and to share a couple quick housekeeping notes here with Coaching for Life.
Thanks, Wade.
You bet.
I'm going to unmute Ken. Ken, go ahead and touch a little bit more on the Coaching for Life Network and how to get started. Just give us what's the next step? How do we get in the network?
Okay. Thanks, Todd. Good evening, everybody. I just want to thank everybody again for being part of our webinar this evening. I've been involved in Coaching for Life now for almost 10 years, and my heart just soars when I see so many people who want to be involved in this process and who want to go about coaching the right way. So thanks for being a part of our webinar tonight. The reality of the situation is we need you more involved in the process. We have spent a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of resources in building the website and doing these webinars and our timeouts, and now we need people to hop in the network and become involved so that we can keep this going. As we close tonight, after the Q&A session, you'll be directed right to our homepage, and you'll see several points of entry. You'll see a family section, a school section, a business section, and a team section. One of the things that we've looked at over the last 10 years is we've really had to look at what is a coach, and one of the things we've done recently is kind of redefine a coach. A coach is anybody that has an impact over a group of people. So whether you're a mom or a dad or a manager, or whether you're a more traditional coach on a sideline somewhere, or even just a friend, you are coaching somebody. And Coaching for Life helps us get back to coaching the right way. If we look at the landscape of sports right now, it's not a very pretty picture, and we want to turn that ship around. And I think we can be successful if we have people like you involved. And that's what we're asking tonight is there'll be a button at minimum on that webpage. It's a yellow button for $9.99 a month. You can join the network and be part of what we're trying to accomplish, and that's turning that ship around so that we can intentionally integrate character into our language, everyday language, as well into our coaching language. So I just want to encourage you guys, as you have encouraged us tonight, to be part of our community and part of the network. And if you can do that, I can promise you that it will be a coaching experience worth doing. So I'm going to turn it back over to Todd and Coach Cal and our presenters, and they're going to get to your questions. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, Ken. I guess right now we're going to have our question and answer. Last week we had had a really good attendance as far as people staying on after to talk and ask questions. We've gotten questions in throughout the evening, so we're going to touch on those. I'm going to get Coach Cal on the line here, and he's going to kind of take over on question and answers. Please send in your questions. We have some to go for or to answer right now, but we could always use more. So give us your questions. Don't be shy. Feel free to give us, any kind of question, and we'll touch on them. And if not, we'll get to you. Even if we have to email you tomorrow or talk to you tomorrow. So I'm going to give it back to Wade, Lou, and Coach Cal will talk about the questions that you guys have sent in. So go ahead and take it over, Coach Cal.
Thanks, Todd. First question comes from Coach O from Castle Rock, Colorado. Evening, Coach O. Coach O asks, how can I, as a coach, regain authority after I've lost it, and what are the steps that you suggest?
Wow, that's powerful. And that's a very honest, naked question, really. But people do lose their authority. The question is, why do we lose it? We lose it from our immature reactions. We lose it from angry dominance. We lose it from wounding the spirit of an individual or violating an individual in front of the team or the whole team. So when we understand that and we finally catch on to the fact that people aren't listening or responding, we need to go back and own up to things like saying, is there anything I've done to hurt you or embarrass you? If we become aware of some angry retaliation in front of a team like that, we may need to afterwards say, I need to accept responsibility for my immaturity or my actions or my language tonight. It was embarrassing, it was beneath me, and I shouldn't act that way as your coach. I apologize. I ask your forgiveness. Whether we have to do it to a group or an individual, that's an amazing mark of earning the right to be reheard and retrusted again. And of course,
that's a huge step for a coach, because a lot of times as coaches, we're always in the position of power. And to humble ourselves like that and go, I really blew it. I lost my cool. I didn't show some poise there. By doing that, at least puts me back in a position to begin again, to earn that respect of authority and begin to coach again. But boy, when that doesn't happen and the coach continues to just go on, it just, often what happens is your players will just, they'll be there, but all you're getting is the empty shell. There's no heart engaged because it won't be there. But, that's a great question, Rod, over in Colorado. And, that's we blow it all the time. Coaches on a weekly basis, there's things I do that, man, I should have said that, or, and how do I get better and better? In fact, it was Mike Mishler one time said, I want to learn to coach with less regret. Which is really huge. But by owning it and being honest and responding to the crisis or the mistake is the right way to do it. And, you talked earlier, Lou, about responsibility is really to respond. It's ability to respond. It's responsibility. And if I can respond to the things around me correctly, it's just going to improve things.
And not if we fail, when we fail. We will all fail. They're looking to see if we're leader enough, mature enough to own our mistake and to own it and finish it up. But our temptation will be to justify it and to hang on to it and build a wall between us.
Wow, great question, Rob.
Yeah, great question. Hey, Coach, if you could, I know there was a story that you told me probably about a year ago about a coach that you had been working with and got involved in the process, and you walked in on an August one of the football double sessions, and it was in the middle, and a coach was actually apologizing to his team, something that you don't see a lot. If you could touch on that for a minute.
Well, yeah, it was the beginning of the season, week 2. Things are getting intense, everybody's tired, you're doing doubles, and it was a coach who came in at the end of practice and basically got his team together at the end of the practice, and before he sent them off for the end of the day, he said, hey guys, I've been really hard on you the last week. In fact, maybe too much. And I'm expecting a little bit too much. I haven't been as patient as I need to be. I apologize for times where I've lost my cool. And I remember I was standing with 2 guys who looked at me and they looked at each other and said, is he apologizing to his team? And I said, yeah. And what the coach was really doing was just being honest and open with his team. And the respect kids had for the coach, was phenomenal. And that was a huge building block of the relationship that was being built between the player and the coach on that. And so, it happens. And it's not just, if we're going to fail, it is when.
Excellent. Thanks, Coach. Next question, guys, is coming in from Jeff Fettner, and he's writing in from Piedmont, California. And Jeff says that there's been no discussion yet on the relationship between our coaching by these standards and the other coaches and authority contacts that do not comply with these standards. How do we deal with the outside influences that negatively impact what is trying to be taught?
Well, I think one of the first things just, is I have to be faithful with what I know and in my own life. I could be an assistant coach trying to do this, and I could be with the other guys on the staff just doing everything opposite than what I'm trying to do and literally tearing down right around me as I'm trying to coach and build others up. I've been in that situation before. So, how do we be about it trying to change that culture? Really, all of us, we're really agents of change. Some of us might be in a place that is really hard, whether it's a workplace or on a staff where, my gosh, if the rest of the staff heard this PowerPoint tonight, they'd think, man, this webinar is a joke, man. And, but that's out there. So there are relationships, whether it's an AP we're working with or they just want you to win and you're trying to do this. There are those negative forces, and one of the big things for ourselves is, am I committed to really stay the course and do what I can do? I can't control other people, but and Lou talked a little bit earlier, is number one, you start modeling it, and can I begin model this, so I can see the needs around me. As we model it, we can start to define what excellence really is with those in authority. But boy, is that a process to walk out, Lou.
Whether it's some of the parents came to me the other day and they said, teachers, they said, how can we turn our public school sector around? I said, you don't stand a chance at all of winning. And they looked at me kind of funny, and I said, there's only one thing that's going to get you to win in the lives of these students. Number one, you build a set of core values in your leadership, in your faculty and your administration that you adhere to as a life value. And when the students push on it and find that you all consistently hold it, they'll submit to you, they'll trust you because they want security of consistent boundaries, and they'll believe that you're offering them more than their parents are offering because of the dysfunction in their homes. But if you're very varied and you're divisive and show discord and you tear one authority down, you don't have a chance. They're going to eat your lunch. And that's exactly, we're asking a team to work together when we're not together as a team, either as parents or as a coaching team. And that's a tough issue. So the kids are going to look and they're going to push and say, well, what if you don't have a consistent team? Then you honor their position at a great expense to your own suffering, but demonstrate character, and they will know the difference.
Thanks, Coach. Next question is coming in from Hudson, Ohio, from Shelley Callahan. And Shelley asks, how do you handle it when you care more about the outcome than the participant, the child, or the employee?
That's the reality. As the parent, as the one in authority, we should care more. And, I mean, one of the questions we had up before the webinar started was, are you coaching with the end in mind? What is the vision of the end product that I'm looking after here? When it's all said and done, and that's what drives me to do things right, is I really do care about the outcome and with my own kids, I know, they want to do things right now, and I'm just like, not yet, because you're not experienced enough, you don't know. I've been around the block a few times, and we kind of sit there and go, wait a minute, you have no idea, young person, what you're really dreaming about there. And that's where we, because I do care about what's down the line there. And we end up doing that. That's why we do what we do on a daily basis.
The most significant part of this thing is relationship, not the skill. And we often want to become something like a person that we admire. So if the person is pushing the game but violating the person, that's a sure way to drive them away from your team. Begin to value the person, and you're enthusiastic about it because of your love for them and your love for the game. They will want to play the game.
Coach, we're getting some great questions in. I've got a next one coming in from Mark Davis in East Canton, Ohio, and he says, as a parent, how should you handle a coach that yells at the players in a demeaning way constantly?
That's a sad state of affairs, and it happens too often. And one is the fact that we need to find opportunities where we can genuinely praise the coach. Oh, you're already mad at the coach. Remember, that's how we win people. Not by flattering them, but by finding qualities that they really do. Invest some money in the bank so that when you need to withdraw it, you've got something to withdraw it from. And then when you have to address this coach about it, go to him privately like any of us would want to be confronted. Don't just yell at them because now it's a reaction to reaction. And say, I've been watching your coaching, and I see these strengths in your life, and I see your investment, your sacrifice, and I know you really want to win. And I know you really believe in the young people you're dealing with. Could I suggest one thing to you that would make all the difference in the world? Instead of demeaning them, let them know how much you really care about them. And if you could take these two phrases or these two things out of your life, I believe that you'd have greater response. That tells him that you're not just finding his faults, but it tells him that you've read his game and you're coming on as a consultant who already believes in him, is trying to help him succeed. And even if he doesn't hear you, you've already modeled to him what he has never seen before and what he's not practicing. The worst mistake is is do exactly what he's doing, demean him because he's demeaning the players.
And, you know, I'll go out on the limb here and say that there's a lot of coaches right now that if we went that way and said, you know what, I mean, here's what I know, I like what, you know, Lou, I know that you want to win, and you want the kids to perform well, and I see you trying to coach them, I see your energy and your effort, but I know it would help my kid. You know, there's a couple things here that if you weren't so grading or yelling at them, I mean, if you're doing things wrong, you know, continue to teach them. I think, I'm going to go on the limb and say there's a lot of coaches today that if they had someone approach them on that, they would start to listen. And there's a trend in coaching today where the pendulum is starting to swing, where that yelling, screaming, degrading coach is becoming old hat, and it ain't working anymore. And it's time for us as parents and people to speak up on it, not, you know, but in a way that, you know, Lou just talked about is modeling that by being responsible and seeing the need of the coach. He just wants what's best. See, I'll never forget a story you told me where you walked out of a room at a ranch and you looked over and there was a world champion horse being trained by this incredible championship trainer. And this horse, it was called a tie-down, where there was a chain around the face of the horse so that the horse would not lift his head up too high. And at the top of the chain, there was barbed wire around the nose of the horse. And as the horse sat there, there was blood, because every time the horse tried to pick his head up, the barbed wire would go into the nose and, you know, would start to cut the skin of the horse, and there was blood, and the trainer was training it. And you looked over at the trainer, and you said, he just wants what I want. He wants the championship horse. But he's doing it in a way I just wouldn't ever do that anymore. And that always struck me, because deep down inside, that guy, the way he's old school, you know, abusing the horse, is getting what he wants short term. He just wants excellence, just like the rest of us. And I'll never forget that story, because I can look at a coach and see him yelling and screaming like that. And I look at him and say, you know, he just wants his players to perform, but maybe he doesn't know how to coach a different way that captures the heart of the players.
Coach Lou, we've got one of your friends here, a fellow by the name of Tom Brennan, says that it's great to hear you again, and his question is, how do I build up and coach up a young man who was relentlessly beaten down by an overbearing dad to the point he's afraid of just playing and enjoying the game?
Wow, my heart goes out to that. And hello, Tom. It's nice to hear you again. I grieve over things like that. I probably have done too many things like that with my own ignorance. So I'm aware that I'm not above it, but I grieve that it still goes on that way. And I think that's a very important thing, to be able to empathize with someone who has an oppressive situation, to let them know that this is a hurtful thing and they can't just blow it off. I think forgiveness is a very, very vital part here of saying, is there any benefit that can come out of an oppressive situation? You know, we can't, as parents or neighbors, we can't always help people out of a very dark situation, even if we wanted to. And there are things like that that happen in people's lives, and there are times we all need rough leaders because of character and heart issues in our own lives. So number one, I would give him the permission to identify with where he is hurting. Number two, I would help him to take the responsibility to forgive the mistreatment by somebody else. And number three, I would begin to give them a vision of the character strengths that come into a person's life when they learn how to respond by the grace of God to a difficult situation. And it's amazing the testimonies of many great leaders who have been forged in greatness through an oppressive or difficult situation. Giving biography after biography of how to learn to rise above a difficult situation.
Coach Wade, anything on that?
No, that was good. I mean, just, you know, as a coach, just to continue to be an encourager and to really build others up around us and be that elevator of a kid's life where he might not be getting it from other places, but he's getting it when he goes to practice and he's getting it in games, and to try to get breakthrough. It just takes time, but be there. I mean, just, it's amazing when a coach can just be there for a player when he knows there's an overbearing parent or just a kid who lacks confidence and a kid who needs to have pick-me-ups. And And that's our job. That's where we get our paycheck as coaches right there.
Coaches, we're going to take about 3 more questions. I've got a really interesting one here from Gina Ledford. And Gina asks, how does a parent begin to transfer authority to older children to care for the younger children?
That's good. She gets my wife's book, and it's on the 4 stages of parenting. That's really good. It's a great source by Dr. Melody Sterrett. And also the balance of loving discipline. She's got some great resources there. But older children to care for younger children is a very important thing. In fact, that's a wonderful part of going back to team issues. You know, coaches often say to me, because I'm riding one horse, they're saying, yeah, that's right, but you're training one horse, and I've got a dozen on my team, or et cetera. I said, if you're training a dozen athletes at the same level, you're not a wise coach. Well, fortunately, in human nature, we don't birth litters. We usually have them one at a time, and it gives a chance for one to mature at an accelerated to those who come behind. Investments in firstborns are very, very pivotal, just like it is when you start with a starter team. You'll have more relationship with that original core who understands your heart and has access to your heart than you do anybody else. Feed them. Give them the encouragement. And as they are given a vision of how, not just to be dumped with the duties, but how to build up their younger brothers and sisters or their younger players. I think the things you do is you take your key leaders as part, or your older team members, your older young people, and you invest privately in ideas and ways that they could serve a middle-born child or younger children or new players, whatever the case is here, how to do it. You don't share that publicly, you don't hold them to account, but you watch that older son, will say, invest in a younger brother, and you see the attention and the response that younger brother has, and then you encourage the older brother privately for his investments. He gets the joy, he gets the confidence, he gets the vision, and he gets the reward of seeing his younger brother mature, and his younger brother will feel extremely protected rather than rejected by his older brother. Very vital stuff. And that is so true even with junior members on a new team. That's a corporate issue as well. How to build morale and an appetite for them to want to learn the values of the senior players.
Well, so much is given, much is required. You know, and it's being faithful in the little things so they can be faithful in bigger. And, you know, that's just this real key is, you know, given little responsibilities. I have to go to the store, I'll be back in 5 minutes. You know, if they can handle that, and then can you handle it for going for an hour? Can you handle a half a day? And seeing those chores, and it's the same way. We're looking to, you know, trust our kids in that. And if they are faithful and responsible, we can trust them and give them more responsibility over time. And it goes back to the 3 things I think we talked 2 weeks ago, and we talked a little bit tonight. Is, as one in authority, I'm looking for it's my effort and my faithful and consistent. It takes time to earn this respect. And it's the same thing we're looking for our kids. We're looking for them to show the effort, for them to show themselves faithful, and over time they get more and more responsibility.
Thanks, guys. Great insight. Next question is going to come from Ken Sturzma. And Ken asks, how do you coach from a position of authority when the athlete feels entitlement and therefore feels he can trump your authority as a coach?
Who's in charge here? You know, I think I appreciate that because that's a reciprocal reflection. And we've been talking a lot about tonight about learning and listening and earning the right. But authority also sets very clear boundaries. There are young people who need someone to stand toe-to-toe with them and look them in the eyeball and say, I'm in charge here, son. That is very much an important part of servant leadership as empowering somebody else who has a wounded confidence. But giving direct, you don't have to browbeat them or demean that person. You need to give them clear, consistent boundaries that I'm an authority here. And if they have a parental problem with that, and they're using their parental wealth or affluence or whatever to lord it over as the prima donna on the team or whatever, go to that parent privately and say, listen, these are my vision and desires for the character of your son or daughter. And I believe that you share them as a parent. Can we work together to build the character of your son and daughter while we help them succeed? and that we will pledge to work as a team so that the child doesn't win by dividing us between each other. And there are a lot of parents who will appreciate that perspective.
Thanks, Lou. Coach Wade?
Well, that's good. As a coach, that stuff's going to hit the fan, and we got to let them know who's leading and who's in authority. And that's really setting the boundaries right off the bat. And until that player sees that, you have that bucking up against it all the time, and just you got to hold your ground. And if they see you earning it and respecting and loving and being firm and a passion for excellence, that's all we can do. There was a team here locally last year that had in Phoenix that had a Division I player already committed to a school, but this kid's attitude was horrendous. I've never seen a kid walk off the floor during as a team camp game. 2 minutes left, kind of getting beat, so he just walked off. It wasn't a whistle, he just walked off because he didn't feel like playing anymore. And so this new coach came in this last season and, put up with him for about 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then you know what? He let the kid go. He let his best player, this 6'6" kid, go into a Division I school and just said, "You're gone." And you know what? It freed the rest of the players on the team up to perform at a higher level. He got rid of a cancer on the team. And, the respect that coach got in the whole school was unbelievable. Other coaches were going up to him saying, "Man, you let the stud go?" And, wow, what a gutsy decision that was. But you know what? It paid off because the kid's now woken up. He didn't even go to D1 school. He's at some community college now. He's trying to get his life back together.
Thanks, Coach. Last question, guys, of the night. It's coming from Leslie Neese. She is a club soccer coach in the state of Ohio. And as a youth coach, as I read this question, I see this a lot myself. Maybe you guys can give us, Leslie and I, a little insight. But the question is, what do you do if you're a coach and you see a parent yelling and putting down a player continuously? So it would be one of your player's parents, and they continue to do this. How would you respond to that, guys?
That's what got into this mess, this whole thing, We kept telling coaches for years, throw a larger net, that there are many a parent out there who needs a parenting accountability. And just like coaches do, so it's not one-sided, but you build a club, you build a membership, and you have parents sign an oath. As you sign an oath and how you will treat one another with respect, how you will handle your crisis, and they sign on if they're going to have their son or daughter play in that team. And you put it in the definition and framework of teamwork to build the character and the future and the integrity of every player on our team. And coaches can call parents to account with it, or other parents call their parents to account, or they call the coach to account.
And also, I think it goes back to what you shared earlier, about the coach that's yelling at the kid. Is, you can go up to the parent and say, I really know how much you want your kid to succeed. A private conversation, obviously, and, how much you want him to do well, but here's just a little insight for you, what I see as a coach, and then present that to them from that side, just like we would if we had a coach yelling at a kid. Because that was a great thing you shared earlier when Mark had that question.
Well, all right, coaches, I got to tell you, it's been a great webinar this evening. You guys have done a great job. Once again, we want to thank Coach Wade and Coach Lou for being a part of this tonight and sharing their experience with you, encouraging you.
Hey, Cal, real quick, 2 weeks from now, I think it's February 10th, we're going to talk about real motivation. How do we really motivate those around us? It's going to be a great one. We're going to get some real nuts and bolts. So you guys get signed up with the network so we can, get moving on here. And where's the real right place for approvals for coaching our kids?
This is a process, guys, and this process takes action. And we need you to continue. So go to our website, get on there, sign up as an individual. It's $9.99 a month. And continue to be encouraged throughout the year with these bi-monthly webinars, weekly timeouts. There's just a load of stuff that you get to continue this process. and effectively change the communities that y'all belong to. So I'm going to turn it over now to Coach Neese, and we'll see you next week.
2 weeks. Thanks, John. 2 weeks. We are done for this evening. Thanks to everybody taking the time to be a part of our Coaching for Life network. We appreciate it. Remember, we're coaching for life, not just the season.